Uh, uh, Dead Fred, what are you doing? Oh man, I love this Anbernic, this RG40XX It's, you know, it's our recommended handheld for beginners, but I want a vertical, and I'm trying to change it to a Dead Fred. Don't you know about the vertical version? Oh, that's right. Well, Dead Fred, you're in luck, because today, here it is, the 40XXV. So let's do our unboxing and first look review, and let's hop in. Do you suffer from intense odors? Does your house stink? Are your children making messes and you're just tired of it? Do your fur babies stink up the whole house? Well guys, use Febreze. It's a great odor defeater, and wait, I'm not a Febreze spokesperson. Hey Deadheads, welcome back to the channel. Or welcome for the first time, new Deadheads. Today, we're gonna take a look at the Anbernic RG40XXV, the vertical version of the H that we reviewed last month. And by the way, Febreze, if you're listening, I'll take a sponsorship. Anyways, Deadheads, on to the content. All right, as always, let's take a look at the box. Now, when the original H700 RG35XXH came out early this year, I really liked how they had the gold inline around the box. Ever since then, they've been using the silver, so I wish they went back to the gold. But this is your typical box. Nothing fancy here, nothing unexpected here. We have the model number here. We have a picture of it, the Anbernic logo. Nothing on the sides here. We have our made in China, and we also have our little registered things here. And then we have our colorways, white, the indigo blue, and the transparent black. We went for the indigo blue. So pretty typical Anbernic box. Let's get inside here and see what is going on. All right, so pretty much, as always, we have our handheld. There's nothing happening under here. We have our manual, and we just looked at the metal 408, the CB408, that random metal one that we got. And this really does, the manual does look like that manual. That's interesting. I wonder if somebody from Anbernic, or used to work with Anbernic, went and started their own company, and they're using the same, you know, manufacturer for these manuals. And then we have our traditional, I'm sure this is USB A to C. Remember kids, don't fry your Anbernic. Use the cord that comes with it. Don't use a fast charger. Don't leave it plugged in overnight, etc., etc. So there's our USB-C to A. So yeah, pretty typical setup here. Nothing surprising or anything here. And then we have our handheld. And let's get this out of here. And here's this blue or indigo color they're talking about. For reference, here is the H. So here are your two 40XX lines. So immediately right here we have a single stick, we have dual sticks. We have really nice blue colored buttons here to match. We have the black buttons there. One of the things I really liked about this was how the blue, and we had the beige one, the bezel matched here. So Anbernic this time has a pretty much bezel-less design. I mean, look at that, you know, going vertical here. That looks really, really beautiful. The texture here, the color is close, but not, it's different. So this really is more of a blue, and this is an indigo color, more along the lines of the typical indigo color. I do like the look of this immediately. This thing feels pretty good and light in my hands. So really, immediately, just first impressions, pulling this thing out and using it and holding it, gotta say, not bad. I like what I'm feeling so far. So as with what has been happening this year, every time I think I'm going to get tired of Anbernic, then I get a review unit and I start playing around with it and I start using it, and I just remember how far this company has come. They have really come a very far way a very long way from the very beginnings. And this year they have just consistently produced great handhelds. Like any other manufacturers, they've had some issues. Let's try these buttons here. Whoa, those are very quiet. Not very loud, pretty quiet. I like the size on them. I think they're the same size as the V. Yeah, they're pretty much the same buttons, of course, just a different color. I like this. I like this matching color. The black does give good contrast here on the H, but yeah, I like the color there. Then we have a menu button here. I guess that's our typical Anbernic. It does say M. Over here we usually just have, yeah, it says M too. So that's, again, matching color. So everything is color here, matching, where we had the black contrast on the H. That's a tiny button, really tiny. Start and select, and then the D-pad. Everybody's raved about the D-pad. Initial impressions, temper your expectations. I mean, I like it, but I don't know. This one feels bigger. This seems, they're probably the same size. Maybe it's just in my head. They look identical, but this one feels not, I don't know. I don't hate it, but I'm not just wowed by it. So we'll see. We'll use it. I'm sure it's a good quality D-pad. You know, we don't have any issues with that. It seems to have good pivot and play here. I'm sure it'll pass any of the testing here, so we don't have to worry about any of that. And then the single stick, like the Cyclops. So we have the single stick here on bottom. Same stick we've been seeing. It's really unfortunate that we couldn't get some better Retroid Magic X type, you know, stick here. So hey, Max Zhao, come on, man. Let's get some better sticks in your next devices. So it's time to retire these. But it's the typical stick. Seems to be just as good. Over here on the side, we do have our TF1, our OS. We have our plus and minus for volume. Over here, we have our games card. And then we have our power and reset button. And then on the back, we have our label, the 40XXV. And then we have our shoulder buttons. And shoulder buttons feel really good. No complaints there. Really like the shoulder buttons. Don't have any issues with that. Yeah, I like them. They're loud. They're loud, you know. They're not going to be quiet if you're sitting in bed. These are kind of quiet. The D-pad's very quiet. And the stick, of course, isn't going to make a lot of sound. So if you avoid using these back here, you probably can be somewhat quiet. So yes, first impressions. This thing is pretty nice. I like what I'm feeling. Let's just take a look at the 35XX next to it, the vertical. Okay, so we've got the Anbernic RG40XX next to it here. So we have our 3.5 inch and our 4 inch verticals here, using the same H700 model, but you can see just for comparison here, for the size of it, the thickness of it, I do have a silicone cover on this that I added, which is really nice. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to pick one of these silicone covers up. But you can see the difference in size there. It just makes a really nice difference, this bezel-less narrow display. It looks nice. It reminds me sort of the way that the Powkiddy 20SX does, with that very thin bezel. Of course, that's a 4-inch screen, so if you want to compare here, you have the 4-inch screen right here, the RGB20SX, and we have a 4-inch screen, which is a 4:3 ratio. This is a 1:1 ratio, 720p, and then you have the 3.5 inch right here. So just to give you an idea of the verticals and what you're looking at if you're thinking of picking up your first vertical, obviously you can see the way that a lot of people hate the way these shoulder buttons do. Anbernic has nailed it. These are excellent shoulder buttons, can't complain, except again, they're a little bit loud, but they feel even better than this. So they feel even better than the 35XX. So they're even actually more pleasant. And I gotta say that, you know, they feel really good. So that's a look at the hardware. Color me surprised. This is exactly what we expected. I like this so far a whole lot. I'm not expecting the software or gameplay experience to really be that different or surprising, because we have seen this CPU over and over again. We've seen the custom firmwares. miyoo OS, Mustard OS is coming to this, so we know it's going to be great. The stock firmware is already amazing. So let's just fire this thing up and have a little fun with it. But if you already had, invested in this, or you tried this and you liked this, but you wanted the vertical, you're pretty much going to get that right here. The gaming experience is going to be just very much identical. This one had a little bit of a heat issue. I don't know where the CPU is in relation. I think maybe this one won't have that the way this was designed. So if you experience a little warmth back here or were concerned about that, this may be a little safer. You're also dropping one of the sticks, but I don't think there was a whole lot of two-stick games that you really could play with this CPU anyways. But let's fire the screen up and take a look at it and see what it looks like. All right, deadheads, as we boot up. So again, I'm not expecting a whole lot of difference here. This is our initial review of the handheld. We will do a further review, 1 month follow-up, 2 month or so follow-up on all of these H700s. I'll do a combined review at the end of the year of all of them, just judging them, because they're going to perform very similar, pretty much the same that we're used to. We have the same software. And so really, we're not getting any surprises here. It's pretty much going to perform exactly like we would expect it to. Again, if you're just now joining us in this world, this wonderful world of Anbernic, then there is the game rooms. There's also the RetroArch. RetroArch gives you the freedom to do a lot more. Game rooms is a lot more tailored towards the way they have it set up to do. So the highest emulation you're going to do on here is going to be some Nintendo DS, some PS1, some Dreamcast, and possibly some N64 on here, and some PSP. It's going to look okay with the screen ratio. But immediately the screen looks nice and vibrant, very bright. I don't know if it's the exact same screen as this. They're both 4 inches. Probably. It's probably the same screen, I would imagine. I'll leave a comment if I verify different, but I think it's the exact same screen. So we know what the screen looks like. We know what the games are going to look like, and everything that's going to be looking for this. And it's very enjoyable. Certain systems are going to scale a lot better than others. They've recently updated Saturn, so go update your older devices. They've updated the Saturn software in here to make it perform a little better. We'll play some Don Pachi here as we load some Sega Saturn. Of course, it has the RGB. Some people hate the RGB. I don't mind it. You can always put sticks over it and mask out most of it if you want to do that. Good sound coming out of the speaker here. Again, this just, it's really nice, feels nice in the hands. This is such a fun shooter. So Deadheads, leave me a comment on what you think of this. Are you tired? Are you burned out on the H700? Do you want to see Anbernic continue to produce some of these? Is this the last one? They just announced today the 406V. They did not announce the CPU, but they're mentioning PS2. So it's not going to be the H700. So it's probably the T820. But it won't be the H700 because they're mentioning about its ability to play. Now that sounds a little distorted there. Let me turn this down. It may be just up too high.
Wing leader to base. Wing leader to base. Commencing operation. 3, 2, 1, go!
And we all know that, Sega Saturn is not the easiest, so the stick isn't set up to play here, it was never a stick-based game anyways. So yeah, this looks good. Wow, look at that screen. It's crisp, IPS. We're getting a nice frame rate. Of course, this is pretty much, they pre-program a lot of this for you. Again, we can go in and we can set some of the, it looks like it's using the standalone Yaba Shinshero emulator here. So we can go in and change a lot of stuff, but the way they have it set up, I think is pretty good. It's pretty good. It's playing well, just as expected. I don't feel any heat on the back. This thing isn't warming up. It's just playing like we expected it. So if you've never played this game, it's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite Saturn games. Certainly one of my favorite shmups. And it definitely is a pretty good version here. Pretty good version here on the Sega Saturn. Alright, Deadheads, let's take a look at one more game and wrap this first look, impressions and review of the Anbernic RG40XX. So again, loading up some PSP. We know PSP benefits from a 16:9 screen. It doesn't always look great in these screen ratios, but we know that this can perform at an acceptable level. There's going to be some games that won't be able to play very well. It's certainly going to need a curated set of games, but the H700 surprised us early on with its ability to do some really good Dreamcast and PSP, and Castlevania is a game that plays fairly well on here. And so one of the things I love about the Castlevania series is certainly the music and sounds. And this is, you know, extending the much excellent Dracula X series that the Sega, the PC Engine CD and Sega Saturn had really good versions of this as well. Such a fantastic game if you haven't played this. This is not probably the best version on the PSP, but it's certainly an adequate version here. So a little stutter in there, as you can see. As I get completely annihilated here. So Deadheads, what do you think? Leave me a comment. I want to know what you're thinking here when it comes to this. I love the voice acting in this though. Such good voice acting. A really good story. Bam. Got you then, buddy. And I really love the opening music after this. After this scene, the music it opens with is really good. But you can see it's filling the screen here. It doesn't look terrible. I mean, I think it looks okay. Some people may be bothered by it. But we could go in here and we could, you know, adjust the settings here and make it. It's just rendering at the 1x. If we want to take out the full screen. And it looks a little funny, a little smaller, but still, all in all, you're going to get decent PSP performance. This is nothing new, nothing we weren't expecting on this handheld. So again, guys, there is nothing in this early look that I see that is very worrisome. This is yet another quality release from Anbernic. This thing is running at, you know, $65, $70. I think it's worth it at that price. A nice, beautiful, narrow bezel-less screen, a 4-inch screen. It's not overly heavy. It's not super pocketable, but unless you like the horizontal better, either way you go, you're going to get a quality product here. You're definitely going to get one that's good. They're both excellent. They don't have very many things to complain about. They're not perfect. There's things here. You know, the CPU is getting old in the tooth, and wish it certainly, you know, they'd use something different, but it's what it is. So anyways, Deadheads, remember to go out there and love your loved ones, because tomorrow's never promised. And we'll see you next time, Deadheads. Dead Fred out.